I'm Wendy Laister. I've worked with the band for about 18 months, and I look after all the media on the road for the band. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go on a quick tour of the stage.
How many people are involved in this tour?
Well, there's 100 people that are on the road with the band, and then in each country we pick up local crew of about another 100 people, so it's a huge production.
Okay. Let's walk up on stage here.
Okay. There's about 900 lights up on stage. I think it's over a couple of hundred speakers, so the PA system is fairly powerful. It takes about 250,000 watts of power to get the show going each night. Thousands of miles of cable, as you can see everywhere you look, there's bits of cable lying.
I understand that there are 3 stages that you use during this tour.
Yes, they piggyback. One goes to the next third city along, so there's 3 in each in Europe as we're going through. We're just coming now towards the back of the dressing rooms here. This is Axel's dressing room. There's quite a few things in here. If you look inside, there's a humidifier, which when he comes off between songs, that means that his voice and his throat is kept moist to help his voice. There's also oxygen, because he does a lot of running around on stage. TV monitor so that everybody can see what's going on the stage. If, for example, Slash is doing a guitar solo out on stage and Axel's in here, he can see what's going on outside. The next little room from here is Slash's room with all his guitars. Slash carries with him 13 guitars on the road, so you can see a selection of some of those. Here is Adam Day, who is Slash's guitar tech.
What is your main job here?
Take care of the instruments, the amplifiers, make sure he goes out there and everything's working. To change his sounds during the show. To keep him a good, healthy frame of mind.
This is Matt's room in here. You can see a hammock there for when the guys are having a bit of a break, not the band guys, but when the crew guys are having a bit of a break during the day, sometimes there's a hammock slung up there just for comfort's sake. As you can see, clearly signposted, so everybody knows where they're supposed to be going, although it's always in the same place on stage. These are Gilby's down here. He's had a couple of new guitars made while we've been out on the road. As we go round, there becomes more and more bits and pieces in these dressing rooms. More stickers, more flags. Often stuff is things that fans throw up on stage and get collected. And also Gilby's acoustic guitars that are used in the acoustic set. So let's walk out through here. Okay, what you can see in front of us is 2 different barricades. This front barricade that's very closest to the stage is where all the security guys work, so that they can hand out water, they can make sure all the crowd is okay. And then this first section here, where you can just see all these fans coming in and sitting down already, that's for the first people that get here. As you can see, they're all charging to get in. But these people get they get the, obviously, front of house view here.
The only thing that was screwed was that it rained all day. The stage was completely soaked. So I found it really hard to try to run around on stage because it was just so fucking wet. Otherwise, it was great, and the crowd was fucking awesome. As big as this band is, it is our first big tour. And we've worked our asses off. We've gone through all kinds of well, lineup changes, obviously, really stressful ones. You know how close a family we are. We've been put up with numerous obstacles that you know, kind of stuff that would usually break up a band. Confrontation from all different ends, so on and so forth, and we've just kept it together. And we've been out longer than pretty much any band has in the last decade or so. Well, you know, a rock and roll band anyway.
That has been a problem in the past. I mean, handling.
It was the worst because we'd been living in some sort of strange vacuum for so long, going at such a high pace and just living in this little world that the band was all about, that we didn't know anything else. So when a tour ended, we'd just go back out on the street more or less and end up fucking up because we were bored. And the whole success thing and the rock star kind of persona that we got labeled with made it difficult to walk around in the neighborhood, so to speak, you know, in Hollywood, without being recognized and stuff. And that was awkward. So we started hiding away and, you know, getting into drugs and all the stuff that goes with, you know, drugs and chicks always had drugs, and it was all day in, day out. And finally that just, you know, it took its toll. I mean, that's what happened to Steven. And we just recently played with Izzy, and Izzy's just not interested in this business anymore, you know. And it was because of this dramatic effect that success had on everybody's personal psyche, you know. And I managed to get over my situation just because I wanted to keep playing. Axl, I think, was the only one that wasn't strung out during this whole period. He was having more personal and emotional problems. I have to admit, this, our social life, and, you know, personal life and whatever, is a little bit more restricted. I don't go out as much anywhere. We stay in hotels and we don't come out during the day. And we'd hardly go to clubs anymore at night just because it's a hassle. I sort of feel raped because of that, but it's a small price to pay for being able to go out and tour and play to all these, you know, enthusiastic people that like the band and everything. You know?
Do you consider yourself to be a kind of a workaholic? I mean, you just like to keep yourself busy?
If I don't keep busy, I go crazy. You know, irretrievable insomniac, for one. So, considering the amount of hours I spend awake, I really find it hard to, even if I'm laying there watching TV, I have to be thinking about something I'm going to be doing, or a phone call, or practicing, or something like that. And it's just because I like to be active. If not, when I start to get stagnant, then I find things to keep me stagnant, you know, something that I can just sort of lay back and not care about anything, which isn't really the pattern that I'm using at this point to keep myself moving on. So I hide myself in working all the time. I remember when Steven was still in the band, he couldn't play certain songs. There were certain songs that didn't make the record that I recorded with other people, and Axl and Duff were like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "'Cause Steve couldn't play them." Then we got a new drummer, and we could have played him, you know, especially the Lenny Kravitz tune.
How do you think you will handle life when you're not on schedule, not on tour?
That's always been my biggest dilemma. What I'm building a studio at home, and you know, I'm married now, which keeps me off the street a little bit more than I used to be, and keeps me from waking up in some strange girl's apartment, and you know, and I love her very much, so it's okay, you know, that it's curtailed my extracurricular lunar activities, I think this expression goes. So I just plan on working on the next Guns record, and I keep doing outside material, you know, just with other musicians and stuff, just to keep busy and jamming and stuff. So I'm just going to focus on playing and trying to get this punk EP out and get that finished, and then work on the next, you know, original Guns record and take it from there. I sound like one of those football players, you know. So what's for next season? Well, you know, the heroes that I had, which are still heroes of mine, some of them I've been really fortunate to play with. I played with John Mayall the other night, you know, and I played with Rory Gallagher, and I played with Ronnie Wood, and I played with Aerosmith, Jeff Beck. I mean, those are heroes of mine, but I never approach them as being heroes. I try and be as natural and normal as possible. I know I've been listening to them since I was yay high, but it's an uncomfortable feeling for the person that is the so-called hero to be labeled as that. So for any fan that's really interested in what we're all about, I mean, you just take it at face value and read into it what you want. And if you want to take it seriously, that's fine, you know. But it's one of those things, it's a subject that I avoid only because it makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me a little bit more insecure than I'd like to be, because no one wants to be put on a pedestal. Yeah, and I don't know, that's weird, because I went through a period where I just didn't fit in when I moved to the States, I didn't fit in. My parents were completely different than all the parents of the kids that I grew up around. You know, a lot looser and cooler, and you know, more in the music business as opposed to being attorneys, doctors, and so on. So I didn't really get on well with I don't have too many friends that I can think of that go back to my childhood. I think I can count maybe five. Well, these are kids that were outcasts themselves. So we sort of just naturally fell together, you know.
Do you relate more to outcasts than, so to speak, normal people?
I mean, I'd have to admit, yeah.
What do you have in common then?
With outcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I mean, I mean, as deep as that question is, I mean, the answer's sort of obvious. It's just like, whatever it is that draws you to somebody that doesn't go by way of the normal routine of life, you know, someone who takes a few chances, goes out on a limb to do something different, has his own ideas or her own ideas or whatever. Those are people that, you know, usually are considered outcasts.
Some people might want rock stars or people who deal with music to have some kind of responsibility in what they do on stage.
That's
what
for
they record.
Sting and Bruce Springsteen and, you know, all those other guys, they have responsibilities to do that. We're just a rock and roll band, you know. I mean, we're just being completely honest about stuff that we see or how we feel, and you can take it or leave it. It's not something that's supposed to be judged so harshly, you know. And it's really not to such an extreme that it's that offensive. I mean, we have certain morals that I know wouldn't come out. We wouldn't go against them lyrically or idealistically as the band is concerned, just because as people we're not into it. So we just, you know, within the limitations of what we're about as people, we write about that. And we're not out sending any messages. We're not on some sort of fucking save the world brigade, because that's something else altogether. That's not why we make records.
Well, aren't you afraid that people might misinterpret songs?
Oh, it's happened.
Like what?
Well, I mean, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of songs we've been charged with being
Are you thinking
racist,
about the one in a million?
Yeah, homophobic, anti-feminists, and all kinds of shit. And you know, there's bands that write lyrics that are 10 times as harsh as ours, but because we're so much in the limelight and such public, you know, amazingly enough, because we're such the bad guys at one point, that they come down on us for our lyrics because we're a bad influence on kids, and I guess because kids listen to our records more so than some of the bands that are a little bit more underground. I don't fucking know. I mean, because obviously, as people, we're definitely not homophobic, you know, just because you know, my mom's a clothes designer. I grew up around, you know, gay, and I'm very fond of gay women, so I mean, I'm not homophobic. Anyway, and...
What is it you find interesting about gay women?
No, we don't want to get into all that. And then, as far as the whole racist thing was considered, that had nothing to do with racism or us speaking out against blacks or anything. And I'm half black, so I was like, okay, this is a good one. I knew when Axl wrote the lyrics, and I knew the story that went with it. I knew when he put it down on paper and it was going to be recorded, it wasn't going to come across positive, you know. So I took that one with a grain of salt, you know. We got a lot of flack for that. And then as far as this being anti-feminist, you know, it's like you write songs about relationships. Everybody knows that somewhere along the way they all have their moments where they're fucked. And so we put that, being guys and you know, and having relationships with women and being pissed off at them for whatever reason, stuff that we wanted to record, sort of to tide everybody over while we worked on the next record. But it's something we wanted to do, and we all picked songs that we liked.
Why punk songs? What is it that you relate to?
There's just stuff that we grew up on that we dug, you know. I mean, I think it's going to probably turn the corner on everybody because we keep changing all the time, you know, and seems to understand what the fuck is going on because the rest of this industry is so predictable at this point. You know, there's some great bands out there, but they never get a chance. You know, no one ever signs them, and they don't get a break. Fortunately, somewhere along the way, we found a hole in the door, managed to get our foot in, and we've been doing things our own way. So we change all the time, and no one seems to understand what we're doing. And so this is just something that we want to do.